Okay, here is my side of the story. I got too drunk and accidentally went home with a stranger. But now, this is my first time posting here, and I had to create an account just to get this off my chest. Honestly, I never thought I'd be one of those people pouring out their life to a bunch of strangers on the internet, but here I am. I usually watch those videos with the Minecraft background, or see them pop up on YouTube, and I've heard that can be a helpful place where you can get advice and opinions without anyone knowing who you are. So I guess that's why I'm here. I'm in a really messed up situation right now, and I don't know where else to turn. To say I'm in a bind is an understatement. I'm ashamed, scared, and confused all at once. I got really drunk a few nights ago, and I ended up going home with a stranger. It was a complete accident. I wasn't thinking straight, and now I don't know what to do. The guilt is eating me alive, and I can't even look my husband in the eyes without feeling like I'm gonna throw up. My name is Kate, and I'm 32 years old. My husband, Mike, is also 32. We've been married for about 4 years now, and up until this point, things have been great between us, really great, actually. We've always had a strong relationship. Our communication has always been solid, and we've managed to keep the spark alive even after a few years of marriage. Our sex life has been really active. We still get excited about each other, and we make time for regular date nights, even though we both work full-time. Speaking of work, we both have pretty decent jobs, though Mike earns more than I do, which has never been an issue. He's supportive, never makes me feel less than, and he goes out of his way to make me feel special. Mike is the kind of husband that a lot of people dream about. He's romantic, thoughtful, and always takes the time to show me how much he loves me. There's never been a lack of affection or attention from him. He surprises me with flowers, plans little getaways, and even remembers the small details like my favorite dessert or the book I've been wanting to read. It's not just the big gestures. It's the everyday stuff too. He's the type who will text me randomly during the day just to say he loves me or ask how my day is going. We talk about everything. Our future, our dreams, our years. We've always been open with each other, and I thought we were completely in sync. Honestly, before all of this happened, I would have told anyone that our marriage was perfect. But now, I feel like I've completely ruined everything. I don't even know how to process it all. This isn't me. I'm not the kind of person who cheats. I never imagined myself in a situation like this. But one night of drinking too much, one careless decision, and now my entire life feels like it's hanging by a thread. I keep going over it in my head, trying to figure out how things went so wrong. To be completely honest, which is actually kind of refreshing, I've always struggled with alcoholism, or rather, I used to struggle with alcoholism. But that was before Mike and I got married. It almost destroyed our relationship back then, and when I think about it now, I realize just how close we were to completely falling apart. There were times when we were on the verge of breaking up, all because of my drinking. It wasn't just the drinking itself. It was the lies, the mood swings, the inconsistency. I would promise to cut back, to control myself, but every time I'd fail. And Mike was always patient, always understanding, until he wasn't. The real wake-up call came when he left me for a few weeks. He was done. I could feel it in the way he looked at me before he walked out that door. It wasn't one of those dramatic movie-style breakups. It was calm, almost resigned, which somehow made it even worse. I remember just sitting there afterward, staring at the door, knowing it was my fault and yet, at the same time, feeling too numb to react. Those few weeks were hell for me. I hit rock bottom, the guilt, the shame, the loneliness. It all came crashing down on me, and I had no idea how to pick up the pieces. That was when I realized I had a choice to make. Either I get myself together or I lose him forever. So, I reached out to him, begged him to give us another chance, to give me another chance. I promised him that I would fix my life, swore that I would change and do whatever it took to make it right. And because we truly loved each other, because we had a foundation that was worth saving, he agreed. He gave me that chance, and I made sure to never take it for granted. That's when I really started to put in the work. I found a local AA meeting and started going regularly. I worked with a sponsor and threw myself into every step of the recovery process. I knew I had to face the reality of my addiction head-on. No more hiding or downplaying it. I stopped drinking completely cold turkey. It wasn't easy at first, but I was committed. Mike supported me through it all, which is something I'll always be grateful for. He didn't judge me for my past mistakes. Instead, he encouraged me to focus on my progress. With his help and the support of my AA group, I managed to get sober and stay that way. I cut off alcohol completely. It wasn't good for me anyway. I never had a high tolerance for it, and whenever I drank, things just spiraled out of control. Looking back, I don't even know why I got involved with alcohol in the first place. Maybe it was stress, maybe it was peer pressure, or maybe I was just looking for a way to escape. Either way, I knew alcohol wasn't something I could handle, so I stayed sober for years. Until now, a few days back, my friends invited me out for a girls' night out. These were really close friends of mine, and it had been a while since we'd all hung out together. Life had just gotten busy for all of us, work, family responsibilities. You know how it is. We hadn't caught up in weeks, and we all agreed we needed a break to unwind and enjoy ourselves like old times. I was excited about it. Usually, I stick to non-alcoholic drinks when we go out, and this time was no different, at least at the start. As I told my husband about the planned hangout, he was fine with it. He didn't have any plans for us that night, so he was happy for me. We'd been so caught up in our own busy lives, so he understood that I needed this time. It was supposed to be just a fun, relaxing night. We headed off to this bar we'd been to a few times before. It was perfect because they served both alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks, and I felt safe there. I started the night off with my usual non-alcoholic choices, and the first hour or so was great. We were just catching up, laughing, and having a good time. But then, things took a turn when my friends started encouraging me to have just one drink. They were all telling me that it had been years since I'd had any alcohol and asking if I didn't miss it. Honestly, I did miss it. I missed feeling like I could let loose without a care in the world. But I had been sober for a reason. Alcohol was a problem for me, still. My friends were persistent, though. They told me it was fine, that I could handle one drink, that going sober didn't mean I could never drink again, just that I should be able to control it. They made it sound so harmless, like one drink would be no big deal. I don't even know why I listened, but I did. Caved. One drink turned into two turned into three, and before I knew it, I wasn't counting anymore. I was completely hammered. I vaguely remember seeing a cute stranger walking by, and that's when things got really blurry. My friends were egging me on, and I started flirting with him. I don't even know how it happened, but the next thing I knew, I was leaving the bar with this stranger. Everything was foggy, but somehow I ended up going home with him. We slept together. I woke up the next morning in his bed, hung over and horrified, with no clear memory of the night before. I grabbed my things, snuck out of his apartment, and rushed home. What the hell had I done? How could I have been so reckless? I didn't just get drunk. I cheated on my husband, the man who had stood by me through everything, who had trusted me enough to let me go out with my friends without even a second thought. I was disgusted with myself. When I got home, I fully expected Mike to be furious. I thought he would have noticed I was missing all night and would be waiting for me, ready to confront me. But thankfully, my friends had covered for me. When Mike couldn't reach me after several calls, he had gotten worried and called them. They told him I was passed out at one of their houses after drinking too much. They lied to protect me. When I walked in, Mike wasn't angry. He was just disappointed that I'd gotten drunk again. He wasn't even mad that I stayed out all night. He was just worried. I apologized to him and told him that it would be the last time, blaming my friends for pressuring me into drinking. He believed me. We talked it over, and for the moment, things seemed to blow over. But the guilt has been eating me alive ever since. I haven't told anyone about what really happened, well, except for my friend. They think it was just harmless fun and a slight mistake I made because I was drunk, that it didn't count. But I know better. It did count, and I can't undo it. I feel like the worst person on earth. My husband doesn't deserve this, and I don't know what to do. Should I tell him? Should I confess? Or should I just bury the secret and hope it never comes out? The guilt is suffocating me, and every time I look at Mike, I feel like I'm lying to him. I don't know how to fix this, and the more time passes, the more I feel like I'm going to implode from the weight of this secret. Update. Hey, it's me again. First off, I just want to thank you all for the suggestions, tips, and advice you gave me after my last post. Some of you really took the time to give thoughtful and helpful feedback, and I appreciate that. But I'll be honest, I also got slammed pretty hard. I knew I would, but it was overwhelming to see some of the hate I got. I was called out by a lot of people, especially incels, telling me that I had lost a good one, that I need to fess up, and that I'm the worst for not telling my husband the truth immediately. I get it, okay. I understand why people are saying that, but I don't think you all understand the full extent of the situation I'm in. I am terrified. I'm not making excuses, but I feel stuck. I know my husband, Mike. He's a really good person. He's kind, thoughtful, and forgiving, but the one thing he absolutely does not tolerate is cheating and lies. You see, Mike's last relationship before he met me ended because his ex cheated on him. It messed him up pretty badly, and it was hard for him to open up and trust again when we first started dating. Cheating is one of his biggest fears, and if he finds out that I did exactly what his ex did, it will break him. I know it will, and honestly, he will leave me. No second chances, no working through it. He'll be out the door. I can't bear to think about that. A lot of you suggested that I should go to the hospital to get tested for STDs, and you're right. I need to take responsibility for what happened, at least with regard to my health. I don't think the stranger used protection. I honestly don't remember, which makes it even worse. So yeah, I'm planning to get tested, and until I get the results, I haven't been intimate with Mike. I'm not stupid. If there's a chance I have something, I wouldn't want to give it to him. But I don't know how to face him, or if I even can. The guilt is consuming me, and I feel like every day I don't say anything is another nail in the coffin of our marriage. But the truth is, I'm just not ready to lose everything. I know that makes me selfish, but I don't know what else to do. Update. Hey, it's me again. I wanted to update you all a while ago, but things have just exploded, and I haven't had a moment to sit down and process everything, let alone make an update post. Plus, to be honest, I've been feeling pretty ashamed and scared because I know the "I told you so" are coming, but here it goes. First off, I went to the hospital and got tested, and yeah, I have an STD. Thankfully, it's nothing major, just something minor that can be cleared up with meds. I've already started the treatment, so physically, I'll be fine, but emotionally, that's a whole other story. Second of all, my husband found out, not in some subtle way either. It was like my world came crashing down in the most brutal way possible. I genuinely thought my friends were covering for me. They had told me everything was fine, that they'd protect me, and I trusted them. I thought they'd keep the secret, you know? But apparently that's not how it played out. One of them told my husband everything, the flirting, going home with that guy, all of it. And the worst part? I didn't even realize they had spilled the beans until I came home from work one day, and my husband was just standing there waiting. He was furious. He didn't just find out from my so-called friend. He also searched the house and found the STD medication I'd hidden. At that point, it was all the proof he needed. I didn't even have a chance to lie my way out of it. He confronted me, and everything came pouring out. I can't even begin to describe how angry he was. We had this huge argument, probably the worst fight we've ever had. I was crying, begging him to understand that it was a mistake, that I hadn't meant for any of this to happen, but he didn't want to hear any of it. In the end, he told me to pack my things and leave. So yeah, here I am, staying at my best friend's place for the time being. She's been supportive, but she's furious too. Furious at our other friends who knew and didn't have my back. For now, I've cut contact with them. I can't even stand the thought of talking to them. They're siding with the one friend who told my husband, saying he deserved to know because he's a good guy and that they felt like I wasn't being honest with myself or him. Seriously, what the actual hell? I thought friends were supposed to have your back, not stab you in it. Now, on top of all this, my work performance has tanked. I'm a mess, and I'm sure my boss has noticed. I can barely focus on anything, and it feels like my whole life is just spiraling out of control. In just a few days, everything I've known has blown up. My husband hasn't told our mutual friends or families yet, but when he does, I know the judgment and shame are going to rain down even harder. I'm dreading that moment. If it feels like my world is crumbling, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. Update. Hey, it's me again. Seems like you all love reveling in my misery. Huh? I mean, I get it. I brought this on myself, but it's still hard to put it all out there. You all kept asking for an update, so here it is, Not that there's much to update, really. First off, my work performance, yeah, it's been going downhill fast. Like, I can barely focus, and it's starting to show. My boss noticed too. He pulled me into his office a few days ago and said something along the lines of, "If you need some time off, we can arrange that." I mean, nice, right? But then he followed it up with, "It'll be unpaid though." And I mean, I get it. Companies have policies and all, but unpaid leave? I can't afford that. So, I just told him I'd stick around and keep working. The sentiment was appreciated. But I need a paycheck, you know? It's not like taking a few weeks off unpaid is an option for me. But the burnout is real, and it's like I'm just dragging myself through each day. Second, my so-called friends still haven't apologized. Not a word. They're all still siding with her, the one who pushed me into that mess. It's funny how they acted like it was all just a good time, but when it came to facing the fallout, they all just disappeared. So I think that's it. I'm done. I'm cutting them off for good. It's sad, but it's probably for the best. I'll be honest, I've been slipping. I've been drinking again. I know it feels like everything I've worked so hard to overcome is just crumbling. It's embarrassing. I'm spiraling back into that dark place, and I hate it. It's like everything fell apart, and instead of holding it together, I'm watching it all burn. My husband doesn't want me anymore. My friends are gone, and I'm here, numbing myself in the worst way possible. I feel so empty. Guess numb, really. My best friend is trying. She's been checking in, keeping me company when she can, but there's only so much she can do. You know, at the end of the day, this is something I have to deal with. No one can pull me out of this mess but me. But God, it's hard. Oh right, I almost forgot. My best friend and I went back to the house the other day to pack up the last of my things. Honestly, I didn't take everything when he first kicked me out because deep down, I thought he might call me back. You know, maybe we could work things out. But that didn't happen. So we packed up the little bit I had left there. It was mostly just emotional support that I needed from her that day. And then he hit me with the big one. He wants a divorce. I knew it was coming, but hearing it still hit me like a ton of bricks. He didn't sugarcoat it. He just said it's what he wants. I get it, I guess, but it's still hard to accept. Part of me hopes he'll regret it, that maybe he'll realize we can fix this. But another part of me knows that I've already burned too many bridges anyway. That's it. I'm just trying to exist. Update. Hey. Thanks for all the advice and support. Some of you suggested things like couples counseling and reaching out to mutual friends and family to help smooth things over. But honestly, I think it's too late for any of that. I've begged my husband so many times to consider couples counseling, even sent him message after message trying to explain everything, that I was drunk, that I didn't mean for any of it to happen. But he's just not interested. He's completely checked out, set on leaving, and nothing I say seems to change that. And yet, a lot of you mention my drinking. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. I've been trying, I swear, but it feels impossible. I've relapsed so many times, and each time it hits me harder. How disappointed I am in myself. Last night was a mess. I only remember starting with one bottle before blacking out. Who knows how much more I drank after that. Thankfully, I was at home alone, so nothing too disastrous happened. But still, my best friend came back from her late shift and found me like that. She was pissed, rightfully so. We ended up screaming at each other, and I just couldn't take it, so I left. So, I'm sitting at the park now trying to cool off and process everything while writing this. But here's where it gets worse. My husband told everyone what happened before I had the chance to even speak. My phone blew up with messages. His family, who never liked me much anyway, took this as their moment to pile on. I got called every name in the book, insults flying at me about how they always knew I wasn't right for him and how they're not surprised because I'm an alcoholic and worthless. I couldn't even handle it. I asked him to get them to stop, and eventually the messages slowed down, but still the damage was done. My own family is furious at me too. They're mad not only because of what I did, but also because I didn't come to them first. Instead, I went to my best friend. Well, there's a reason for that. I've always been closer to her than my actual family. Now, they're all pretending to care, sending me fake reassurances that they're here for me, but it's too little, too late. It feels like everything's crumbling around me, and our mutual friends? Yeah, they're shocked, of course. A lot of them have already picked his side. I'm not even surprised at this point, but it hurts more than I thought it would. I just feel so isolated right now. I've muted my phone because I can't deal with the bombardment of calls and messages. I'm not ready to explain myself to anyone, and honestly, I don't think I want to. So that's it, that's the mess I'm in. I don't know where to go from here or how to even begin fixing this. But for now, I just need to breathe and figure out what to do next. Update. Hey, I got served today, so I guess this is a mini update. Honestly, I feel surprisingly numb. My best friend, who has been by my side through everything, was worried sick because she said I haven't shown the kind of reaction she expected. She thinks I'm just bottling it all up and that I might do something drastic once she leaves for work. She actually called in sick today because of me, saying she couldn't bear the thought of leaving me alone. I was kind of surprised when she told me, but I'm also really touched by it. I know she has her own life and responsibilities, but the fact that she dropped everything to be with me, just so I wouldn't feel alone, means the world. She didn't even make a big deal about it. She just grabbed us some coffee, grabbed my arm and said, "We're getting out of here. You need some fresh air." We spent the day doing all sorts of random things to get my mind off everything. Grabbing lunch at my favorite cafe, window shopping, even hitting up an arcade like we were teenagers again. She's been such an amazing friend, and I honestly don't even know how to begin repaying her. I feel like I owe her so much at this point. Of course, after she went to bed, I broke down. I didn't want to cry in front of her. She's already done so much, and the last thing I want is for her to feel like she needs to do more. She's practically carried me through this whole mess, and to be honest, she's been more of a family to me than my actual family has been through this entire ordeal. It's funny how life works, you know? You think your blood relatives will be there when things fall apart, but sometimes it's the people you find along the way who become your real family. She's definitely my found family now. I'm so grateful for her, but at the same time, I feel guilty because I can't shake the feeling that I should be handling all of this on my own. But here I am, crying silently into my pillow while I make this update, and she's in the next room, sound asleep, completely unaware. I guess that's what it's like when you hit rock bottom. You feel like you're a burden to the people who love you, even when they're doing everything in their power to help you through it. I don't even know where to go from here. Update, it's me. Sorry for the radio silence. I wanted to be done with everything before I made this final update because honestly it was becoming very toxic for me. The negativity and harsh comments were hard to deal with, and I just needed to step away. I apologize for disappearing like that, but I had to focus on myself. In addition to everything going on, I've been attending AA meetings again for my alcoholism. Relapsing was a real fear for me, especially with all the stress, and I realized I needed to prioritize my recovery. So yeah, that was another reason I deleted for a while. I needed space to heal. Now on to the update. First of all, the divorce has been finalized. I guess that's the big news. It was pretty cut and dry, which is such a heartbreaking phrase to use for something that was so emotionally painful to me. But legally, that's how it went. We didn't have any assets to split because all of my husband's assets were premarital. The house was his, the savings were his, everything was his. We also didn't have any kids, so there was no child support to factor in. And in my state, you have to have been married for about 10 years or more to qualify for alimony or spousal support. Since we didn't meet that threshold, I didn't qualify for anything in terms of financial support. So yeah, it was quick, painfully quick. As there was really nothing to fight over, it feels surreal to say it's over. Just like that, something that consumed so many years of my life ended in a courtroom in less than an hour. I'm still processing all of it, honestly. My friend, my absolute rock, literally took time off work to be with me during this whole process. She knew how much the divorce was affecting me, and I don't know what I would have done without her. She opened her home to me without hesitation, and I'm still staying with her for now. I've started contributing to the rent and groceries because I want to at least try to pull my weight. But honestly, I don't know how I'll ever repay her for everything she's done. She's been there for me through the worst moments of my life, and it feels like I'll never be able to show her how much that means to me. As for my job, yeah, I'm still stuck at the same shitty place. It's soul-sucking, but at least it's a paycheck, and right now I can't afford to be picky. I keep hoping something better comes along, but the job market's been brutal. I've been trying to stay positive, but it's hard. The feeling of being stuck, especially after everything else I've gone through, can get overwhelming. But I'm taking it day by day. That's all I can do right now, one step at a time. In terms of my mental health, I'm hanging in there. Some days are better than others, and I'm learning to give myself grace. Going back to AA has been a huge help. It's grounding me again, reminding me of why I need to stay sober even when everything else feels like it's falling apart. There are moments where I just want to crawl into a hole and not deal with any of it, but I keep showing up to those meetings and I'm trying to stay accountable. It's not easy, but it's necessary. So that's where things stand. I wish I had a more hopeful or uplifting update, but I guess this is just the reality of the situation. Life doesn't wrap up neatly with a happy ending, and sometimes it's just about surviving the storm. I'm still here, still fighting through it, and I guess that's something.